Hi, this is Nick Glorioso, Glorioso Wildlife Mounts Taxidermy, Granville, New York. Today, I've been working on fleshing my good buddy Nick Curtis's Wild Boar. You can see this is going to be a graphic video, so if you don't like blood and fat and got to work on skinning this head out. So if you don't like to see that, please stop the video right now. So we're going to skin this 300-pound wild boar out. This was caped the other day. We had a double successful hunt. My wife Rebecca was up in a tree stand with us too. Shot two nice wild boars. This one my friend Nick Curtis shot with a 300 Win Mag. Beautiful shot. Only went about 15 feet or so and dropped. And you could see between the shield and fat and gristle, all that, I have about probably 20 pounds of fat and shield in there. Put the GoPro 3 on and adjust this thing. The first thing we want to do when we're going to mount this for a shoulder mount or pedestal mount, we want to take accurate measurements. And going to measure from the tip of the nose to the front corner of the eye, which we have about 8 inches there. So we'll record that. And the other measurement that's very important is the neck size. So what we'll do, this is just an approximation, okay? Kind of line this up. Okay, just approximate. This thing's going to have about a 28-inch neck on it. It's 14 doubled. So about a 28-inch neck, which I was pretty much approximating in the field. So that's good. Wild boar are a lot of work. I called one of my tanneries the other day and he said, nope, actually we don't do them anymore because it ruined his $1,500 fleshing knife. So anyways, you could start wherever you like. As you can see, I'm going to get rid of this nasty bucket of fat. There's a good 25 pounds of fat and gristle and shield. Still not done with it, but as you can see, it's shiny because there's salt on this. I want it to start penetrating, and once I skin the whole head out, I'll go and put it on a fleshing beam and get the rest of this fat and gristle and shield off. But just to show you real quick, just for a second, what I was doing is taking a fillet knife, and what you do is just like whittling soap, I guess you'd say. You just carefully just shave this fat and gristle off of here. So that's what I was doing. The shield is in armor type plating on these wild boar, which protects the animals. These things have big tusks out in the wild and they fight, and actually they've been known to stop broadheads dead in their tracks. So anyways, I do have more fleshing to do. Not too worried about it, because salt can penetrate a 1/4 inch of meat and flesh and fat. So that's good for right now. What I wanted to do on this video is show you how to skin out the head if you're a taxidermist, beginning taxidermist, or this is going to be, my buddy wants a closed mouth mount, so we need to skin it out the same way as an open mouth, but you know, we can go and start anywhere you like. I'm going to trim around here. We're going to start with a number 22 blade scalpel and get right down here. And this thing is very, very sharp, obviously. It's a surgical scalpel. So I noticed on YouTube there really weren't any videos on skinning one of these out. Quite unique animal, and just a little different to handle. Now, you don't have to use a scalpel blade. You could use your favorite knife, pocket knife. You can use a very sharp knife here. So I'm just looking for that cartilage. We're going to cut right into this cartilage here. There we go. Okay. Continue downwards with our knife. Okay. There we go. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to use an artificial nose on these. I do like to use artificial nose for my wild boar and my bear mounts. Just makes your life a lot easier. Yes, they do cost a bit. This nose, replacement nose for this wild boar, probably be about $25, but saves you a lot of trouble and having to flesh this nose out. I'm going to skin this thing out and cut the nose right off. This is a large nose on this one. They come in different sizes, so make sure you maybe take measurements of the nose before you cut it off, so you know. I'm just going to get right down here, and at this point, it was just taken out of the freezer the other day, and it's actually still cold. So you want to make sure when you're working on stuff, especially if it's summertime or whatever, that you know you put your stuff in a cooler or the freezer, whatever it is. You want to keep your stuff nice and cold and not spoil, of course. That's our goal here. So okay, so you can see I do have the top here skinned out, and again, it's shiny. You can see salt here. I like to place a little bit of salt. I probably put about 3 pounds of salt on this thing while I was working on it. So that way when you flesh an area out, the salt starts penetrating. So that's what I like. Some people like to wait till they're done with fleshing the whole thing out. It seems to be a little bit messier maybe. Doing it my way, but my thing is I don't like bacteria. That's a taxidermist's worst enemy, is bacteria. So I fight it as best as I can, and if it just means that I have to sweep up a little extra salt, I'll do it. So okay, you can see the bottom lip here, and quite gristly. Now if you happen to skin this thing out like I'm doing now and you run out of time, that's okay. Don't leave it out in your shop. I would get it into your refrigerator at least. So you want to keep this thing cold, and you want to not heat this thing up, because heat equates to bacteria. Okay, so you can see I cut the bottom lip here. I cut the top, I cut the nose free. You can see the nostrils right here. You can see all that. There's tons of meat and flesh on this. So I'm just using these two knives. I'm using a scalpel, and I'm using a scalpel. Now we don't need all this extra gum and all that. Actually, if you're using a cast lip like I do a lot of them, you only need a 1/4 inch maybe or so. So it's going to pull this down. I like to outline this first, and then a lot of times I'll flip it back out and work on the inside part. But this is just the way I like to do it. Every taxidermist has their own way of doing things. Okay, so you can see here's the face area here. Okay, so now we're going to flip this cape, and again you can see it's nice and shiny and wet looking, and it's wet looking because of the salt that's on there. That's good. So what I'm doing is I want to see where I'm at. Okay, you can see right here, here's my finger under here, here's my ear. Okay, so we know right here we're in the ear area. So very, very important to know where you're at. If you don't know where you're at, then put the brakes on and stop real quick. So, okay. What we want to do now is we're working on our ear area. That's the top of the skull here. Okay. You might need to free some of this first so we can pull this down. Now I'm really taking my time. I'm not in a big rush. Okay. I'm just making small cuts right here. Now, what I'm trying to do, again, if you lose your track, okay, here's my ear. If you lose your track, just flip it back over. Okay. This is how I teach my students too. And, okay, right there, you can see I just cut the ear canal free. Okay. I'll show you guys here in a second. But here, right here is the ear canal. Just cut it free. Just cut the ear free. Okay, here we go. Hogs, wild boar, they have quite a head on them. So, okay. This is not going to be a very, very long video, but hopefully be informative to you. Very fatty, very oily, very greasy critters to work on. Not the most fun. I mean, there are some places that you could just send the whole head out and send it to your tannery just like that. And what they'll do is they'll do all the nasty work for you and give you a cape that's almost ready to mount when they're done. So you can do that if you like. Okay. Trying to see where I'm at here. Just taking my time. If you're not sure, just make shortcuts here. We're on the top of the head right here. Once I free my other ear, I'm going to put a little bit more salt. Okay. Now, here is the ear canal here on this ear. You can see the ear right in there. Okay. All this is going to have to be fleshed out later on. Okay. All right. So what I was getting at is the other ear canal is going to be down here as well. Okay. Okay, here's the other ear canal right there. And this is very, again, very gristly type of material here. Okay, this is the top of the head. So we're going to keep coming down. And I have to be careful when we get to the eye area. Now, if you do put holes in there, I put a couple holes in this thing. Everyone's going to. Okay? Don't freak out. It's going to happen. That's what a needle and thread are for. Okay? So, don't freak out. Like, oh my God. This thing is ruined. I just put a hole in it. That's not the case. Okay. I do feel the eye area. Okay. Right here. I'm going to get down here. And what I like to do is, what I do on one side, I like to do on the other. So I'm just cutting the other side here. And I could feel my eye right there. Okay, so we're going to be quite careful right here. Okay, kind of snuck up on us here, but I could tell we're in the eye area. Okay, and let me show you a trick. Okay, let me show you a trick. Bears and all that, this is called a tubed skin. Okay, this is called a tube skin. Okay, so here's the eye area. Okay, you can see the nictating membrane right here in the front corner of the eye. Okay, what I'm going to do is I have my finger in that eye. Okay, you can see me pulling this back. It's a little awkward, but I just cut it. Now, what I did was I pulled that eye skin back. Why? So I don't cut my eye skin. Now, I like to use the tuck method. And for the tuck method, you need inner eye skin. Oh, on a boar, maybe a 1/4 inch. Something like that. To tuck into your mannikin. Okay, so you will see the eye here pretty quick. Now, this is a good place for a scalpel. I'm just pulling this material out. Okay, and I'm making sure I have enough material here. Okay, and here is all my eye skin right here. That's all my eye skin. When we're done, I'll show you what that looks like. Now we just need to free this area. Okay, you want to cut tight to the bone. And they don't really have a tear duct like a whitetail, elk, all that. It just kind of rolls in. Okay, you can see that. Okay, as you can see, there's the eye, And we took excellent reference pictures right after this boar was shot. I use this method for bears. I use it for a lot of the animals that you tube. It's called a tube skin. Again, here's the back of the eye. If you're not familiar with skinning eyes out, I would definitely recommend putting your finger in there. Okay? I would definitely recommend that. As long as you're careful and take your time, you'll be better off that way. So the problem is, if you do happen to cut this